get in and out quick.
Move on with our lives.
All right.
Yeah. So
What's first?
Spider-Man, then Miles, then Avengers, then Uncanny. So we'll start with that. We'll start this as episode 35. Are we live? I see we are.
Yeah, we're live.
All right, let me do this. All right, hello and welcome to episode 35 of the Weird Science Marvel Comics podcast for the week of December 12th, 2018. Yeah. Obviously, this is Wednesday. We're doing this now. This first part.
For some reason, I thought it was 2012 today, and it was 12/12/12. I was really excited for.
You're crazy. Actually, I mentioned today. For some reason, I brought up the 2K games today.
Yeah.
And Eric's like, "Oh man, what is it now? 2K11?" I'm like, are you a moron? That's the date. I mean, why would it be 2K11 now?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know.
I almost tweeted that out. I caught myself. I don't know where I was at that point.
12. You were in a warp. A time warp. But yeah, we're doing this section of the books. Yes, this is the first episode of the week, and this is the one where we are going to start concentrating on more of the bigger books that come out and do it on New Comic Book Day, Wednesday, which this is what it is. And we have 4 books tonight and 2 Spider books. We got the Avengers. I mean, really, I'll spell it out. We have Amazing Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Avengers, and Uncanny X-Men. And just as a little bit of a preview, I was struggling to get through a lot of these tonight. I don't know if it. I did fall asleep when I came home from work. I was a little tired last night because on Tuesday night is when we do all of the DC reviews. So I had 4 reviews, and for some reason I really put them off and didn't start reviewing some of the things until 10:30. I ended up staying up until 2, and then I had to get up at 5. So I was tired. I came home.
A fun day.
Yeah, I fell asleep. So I get up and I had an hour or so to get ready, an hour and a half. It's when I ended up messaging Aaron. That's why I messaged you so late about what we were doing.
Yeah.
And I thought, I have plenty of time. I mean, we're only doing 4 books. Having 2 episodes a week is really going to be able to let us concentrate on a couple books for each episode and lighten the load a little. Man, it still took me a while to get through these. And that's usually the first hint when I'm doing these shows of any sort, DC, Marvel, whatever. That's my first hint of if I like the books in general, if it takes me longer.
No, I agree with you there.
Yeah, and
it's a great wasn't that bad for me, actually, because I only had a very short amount of time. Like you had messaged me, but I didn't know the show.
Yeah, you zipped through them. I'm telling you, when I started, I had already started, and then you messaged me back, and you're like, I'm done. I'm like, I messaged Brandon. I'm like, I am struggling. I'm having problems. But again, I was tired. But we do, like I said, we have some Spider books. We have a number 1, the Miles Morales, that I don't know how this slipped under my radar. I had no idea.
It's in my blurb. I didn't even realize this was coming out.
No, I didn't either. I had no idea. And
I realized it was coming out when I looked at earlier in the week. But
yeah. But it doesn't seem like a lot of hype for it coming out. But then again, I can't say that maybe I'm not looking at the right places, because even the Defenders
even
thing.
The books, I didn't see ads.
Yeah.
Well,
so
people have been getting a fair share of Miles Morales, actually, with the Champions book. And then he's also in the
Spider-Geddon.
I think people are getting a little spidered out, actually.
Maybe. And the weird thing about it is, even with it coming out, like, you realize that there's a lot of books coming out. It seems like Spider-Geddon should be over by now, but it's taking so long because this even has the little call out to Spider-Geddon, things like that. But we're going to start with Amazing Spider-Man, and that is your book, Brandon. Take it away.
Yes, Amazing Spider-Man number 11, written by Nick Spencer, art by Ryan Ottley, Cliff Rathburn, Laura Martin, and VC's Joe Caramagna. Ryan Ottley returns to the pages of Amazing Spider-Man, but Nick Spencer slows things down a bit to set up the next arc and reintroduce some classic villains. That arc, for the most part, seems to be focused to test the newfound friendship of J. Jonah and Peter/Spider-Man. Do the old wounds come bubbling back to the surface, and does the FSC approve? That's one. This is one for you, Eric. Let's discuss.
Yeah, I wonder, why I'm reading this, and we talk about it all the time. Now we're at, issue 11, And I have jumped on this podcast and Marvel in general, bigger than what I would have been reading before. One of the big things is I've wanted to like Spider-Man. This is one of the characters that most people love, Spider-Man, and I never had any connection with him, and he was never even my favorite Marvel character. This book is really, it's not bad. This issue isn't bad, but I don't understand why it can't have a focus and just stick with something. This book I can't even say it's all over the place, because it kind of stays within a very specific realm. So saying it's all over the place would have Spider-Man on the moon. He's not this is, it makes sense, but it's just every time I read it, I never know what I'm going to get.
Yeah, it's another little, I don't know, side street on the path to whatever.
You have that main street. These are all the side streets. I just don't understand it. Now, like I said, just as an issue reading it, I didn't hate this. I actually liked some of it. It's just as a whole, I keep wanting to get going. And we just keep on going to different side streets. And I just laugh because it looks like Jay Jonah at one point. I thought he had a podcast, though he might be on the radio, it seems. Yeah. But I really wanted him to have a podcast.
He's on the radio.
Yeah, I wanted him to have a podcast, but he does not. But yeah, he's there yelling about how Spider-Man's a hero. He's the number one supporter.
He went from a blog to the radio.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got a podcast in the video game, if that makes you feel better.
Yeah, that's fine. It would make sense. But yeah, and he has this whole thing. So with this, it's the big idea that he's out there supporting. He's on the front lines now supporting Spider-Man because he knows it's Peter. And in the meantime, he gets an invitation and he is going to be in the Century Club again that he got kicked out before. And it's going to be Kingpin is going to be giving the ceremony, but Spider-Man's supposed to be there to introduce him. And that's pretty much the major gist of the deal from Jay Jonah.
Well, you just get a bit of a hint of his two-facedness at this point too, when he's like cussing out Kingpin in one panel, and then he gets the invitation. Like, I love the mayor.
He'll just go with whoever's,
Yeah, this tends to be the beginning of the conflict between him and his new buddy Spider-Man, because even though Jonah's now looking out for Spider-Man in the press, he still kind of does it to benefit his own,
for him.
His own needs.
Yeah. Wasn't it the Sensational Spider-Man or is it Spectacular Spider-Man where J. Jonah Jameson was more involved in the book?
Yeah, that's where Spider-Man found out, or he found out and was told Spider-Man.
So I took this issue as more of incorporating that into the main Spider universe.
Definitely. It's kind of always,
and it brings you up, and it brings you up to speed.
With what's going on with the Daily Bugle, the Kingpin going on.
Zardasky's dumb idea of having Jay Jonah really, I don't know. I wasn't a fan of it. It's worked out decent in some other stories like this.
It's definitely played well for laughs in most instances.
Yeah, it just doesn't add a whole lot to it. Like what great benefit does?
Well, here's the deal. If what you think is the roundabout main villain that we see in the back of cliffhangers each time, but not this time, but the cliffhangers of it being the idea that he's given up his identity to some people. This does fit what you had said before, that you thought that the whole deal was going to be that it's because Peter's telling everybody his identity, and this kind of does throw it out there, because I didn't know that Jay Jonah knew that Peter was Spider-Man, because I haven't been reading
a recent thing. That's not something that he knew once and forgot about and was retold. He's only been, he only found out once.
I'm just saying in general of the idea of Peter going and telling everybody about the identity. It kind of does throw that, but really other than that, it's just kind of it's got a couple laughs in it. It's got a couple deals. He goes and sees Robbie, and that's nice enough, that you see that Robbie, even though he did fire Peter, he still wants him to be, family, quote unquote family, and come over and things like that. And
the whole you're a scumbag if you sell Christmas toys at an eBay angle too,
Yeah, you got it all. Yeah, there's that little Christmas deal. And then it just ends with, Jonah going and Spider-Man showing up and saying, I'm not going to introduce you at this thing. It's Kingpin. I hate the guy. Oh, look, you're on all these billboards. He's like, that's Photoshopped. Oh, okay. And then it ends with them getting attacked. And, by the enforcers. And
did anybody else read the arcade part because there's a shadowy figure in the background that's using arcade. Did anybody else read that in a Guy Kid voice?
No,
in
the
their
Guy
head?
Really?
Because I totally did.
My.
Who's Guy Kid arcade,
buddy?
Shadowy
The Guy Kid. But yeah, is there anything else to this? I mean,
I mean, it all ends up wrapping around to be, you know, these guys working for Scorpion. They bring Spider-Man and Jonah to, you know, what's revealed to be Scorpion, who's got it out for Jay Jonah since basically the one that's got him stuck in this suit, you know, in the first place to begin with, and then, you know, turned him into this monster and dude that's always angry, and, you know, their history is long and storied, so you can connect that back to why he wants Jonah and you know, always hates Spider-Man. So it's a decent cliffhanger. You know, he looks great. I love the way Ryan Otley draws awesome. The villains.
Yeah, I love the art in general. It's really good.
They do look great. But you know, other than that, I didn't have great feelings about the issue, but it didn't make me angry at the same time. It was probably the highest score I'm going to give on any book we're going to talk about tonight.
It's mine. It is mine highest.
So, you know, it's a 6.5 is what I'm going to give it. I really, really like the art. Again, like you said, and your complaints is my main interest kind of does lie in, you know, this guy lurking in the background,
the centipede guy that we don't know who it is,
whoever it is. Yeah. And
I think that was somebody totally different from the centipede guy. I think that was just a new.
Yeah, no, I think that's just Scorpion or somebody working with Scorpion.
I don't think that this is connected. That's one of my problems. Is we keep getting away from things, and then all of a sudden,
issue side stories that, you know.
And
really
here's the thing:
by the end, we don't hate them, but it's just like, I don't know, not much happens either, and it's just
and with that, with Fresh Start,
9.0-ish, 8.5.
It's the same. It's the same thing that we keep getting with Iron Man. Every time we get an Iron Man issue, I don't know what we're going to get because it just keeps going on these weird directions. But even that seems to have more of kind of a central focus. This just is kind of, you know, I get it that it's Spider-Man just going about his deal and whatever happens. But I just get thrown off here, especially 11 issues in. But yeah, I didn't hate it, though. Yeah. And this one, I said that I had problems. You know, a lot of these issues took me a while to read. This was not one of them. This is a very quick read.
Yeah,
and, you know, and in fact, it's one of those that when I was done, I checked the page count because I was like, boy, it felt to me with what went on, it was like 14 pages. It's not a regular page, you know, deal. It just, I thought it was very quick for what went on, but I didn't hate it. And yeah, I'm going to give it a 7. If it was one of those where, you know, like a book like Deadpool, where I expect each issue to kind of be something just new, random, you know, you're getting just random one-shot deals all the time, I would go up on my score. I could go as high as a 7.5. It's just where it lies with this whole series. I always seem to be going to. I'm MC Scat Cat with Paul Abdul. I'm going 2 steps forward and then 2 steps back. I'm never getting anywhere. And actually, sometimes it feels like 3 steps back. So yeah, I'm going to go 7. How about you, Aaron?
I don't know. I feel like I'm a bit higher than you guys for some reason. This was, you know, as we were all saying, this is probably our highest rated book of the night because this was the first one I read. I must have felt a little bit of holiday spirit since I just got home. Holiday music playing in the house for the dogs.
Baby, it's cold outside. You listen to that one? You listen?
No, that's not allowed.
That's banned.
I told Alexa to take that off.
Yeah,
it's banned off Alexa. You know, because it gets me too hot in the pants.
Yes, that is true. It would.
I really like when Jonah comes in and he's just a crazy man, and he reminds me a lot of Jim, actually. I'm at a 7.5.
Just substitute. I have no about Spider-Man for
I like how it's more of a day in the life, but also it gives you a taste of what all is going on in New York at the time.
I mean, they warn you in the beginning this is going to be a nothing issue in the blurb in the beginning. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. And
that's funny.
And you know, a lot of jokes landed, you know, with the billboard with J. Jonah Jameson and then Spider-Man talking with the Spider-Man who's got his arm around Kingpin in the billboard. Oh, that's obviously Photoshop. That made me laugh. And reading Arcade as Guy Kid made me laugh. Yeah. So that might be just an added bonus there. But yeah, 7.5. I could probably even go up to an 8, honestly. Yeah, I had a great this issue just made me smile. The art is beautiful.
Yeah.
The best Ryan Otley has done on the series so far, in my opinion.
Yep. I love the art. Like I said, I could go up to a 7.5. It's just that I'm kind of getting a little tired of saying the same thing about like, hey, we're resetting it. Not even resetting, but kind of not.
I would probably go up to an 8 if the cliffhanger didn't really. Yeah. I mean, Scorpion, and I don't really know who is the guy in the background in the robots.
Yeah, I saw him.
Baxter Stockman.
No
Baxter Stockman. Okay, so that totally didn't hit for me.
Turtle guy. Never mind that.
So yeah, I gotta do some research on that to figure out who that is. But yeah, 7.5 for me.
All right. Yeah, and we're going to go to the next Spider book, which is the number one.
Brandon say what his score was?
Yeah, he said 6.5. And the worst is, I was going to mention that. I'm glad you brought that up. But just remember, Brandon said this is probably his most positive score. 6.5. Look at him over there. Negative Nancy. Negative Nancy. The next one is what, Brandon?
All right. Our next one is Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 1, written by Saladin Ahmed. Art by Javier Guerin, David Carell, and VC's Corey Pettit. Miles is back in his own title, and for pretty much the first time in his life, written by a different voice than my arch nemesis, BMB. I'll be honest, I feel like this title snuck up on us all a bit, and as a result of very little marketing. But that could just be me talking out of place a bit, I guess. I don't know. I don't follow a lot of the comic book nonsense websites anymore. So what's in store for Miles? Well, apparently a lot of recap to catch people up. Some thinly veiled politics because very few books can go without that nowadays, and some okay art that makes it all a bit of a miss to start for me. But let's talk about it anyway.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, this is pretty much what I expect a number 1 issue to be, especially a number 1 issue for me, not knowing a lot about Miles. Now, I know about Miles from like Aaron said, he's in a lot of other books, and I kind of get in passing a bunch of things about Miles, but this actually served well enough for me that even if I thought it wasn't the greatest of things, it actually did its job. And I'm actually kind of excited to go forward. And I do think, and I think that he has a decent enough voice for Miles. I wasn't bored with it. It was okay, but everything with this was, to me, just okay. The politics, I kind of got a little bit kind of like, okay. And I think that the thing with the politics that got me were just how it was almost like set up like we were setting up bowling pins. It was like,
it was just hit you over the head with it
out of nowhere.
Because you could do a quick glance, but then like 2 pages later, he just hits you with the bowling pin.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what was weird about
it. It doesn't add anything to the story. It doesn't take anything away from the story. It's just not necessary.
It's just there. But the way that it's there, it just, like Aaron said, it just hits you out of nowhere. Like you're going through Miles's day, you're meeting the people in his life, and I'm enjoying it. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know a lot about Miles. So
it's everything. Like those are all characters I know, but I get it's a number 1 and they want new people in the book. So
it was really good for me. You know? So I'm like, okay, I always like
good for me too, because I mean, it gave me more information because I haven't read very much Miles myself.
So then all of a sudden he's there, and I like the idea that his parents know his identity. Even mentions, hey, Spider-Man, the real Spider-Man. He said not to do that, but hey, I like that my mom and dad know this. You get the idea that his dad, he worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm getting all of this.
A lot of it's told through narration because he's writing in a journal, which I assume it's getting stolen like later because he's hitting it over the head with that.
This is the dumbest thing for a superhero ever to do. Some of my beef with it.
So first page 1, as soon as you open the book to the journal, it says I am Spider-Man on it.
And it even says like, this is probably going to be something that if it gets caught, I'll die of embarrassment or probably die in real life too. I'm like, yeah, you will. But I didn't mind it.
And everyone you know.
And it's a device. It's a device to go and tell it. And yeah, I know that I've been, I don't like over narration. But if you are giving info like this, I don't mind. So you get, I even got his dad was part of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he kept it secret, but now S.H.I.E.L.D.'s down. So I like all of this. You have Genki there, who a lot of characters that I do know, but haven't really dealt with a lot. So I'm really enjoying it. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he goes to see his mom. And she's like, oh, did you read the newspaper? I'm like, more immigrant children. Oh, what? Like, where did this come from? Like, like, this is what, and then he's like, oh, and that's not the problem, because then you have this. And again, I am not a guy who really gets into politics of anything with my comments.
Yeah.
So when this comes, I'm not saying
it's not the side this issue falls on. It's just the fact it's
that's
up,
the thing. And
totally
I'm not saying this is pro, con, whatever you feel. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is all of a sudden it shows up on a headline. And then the next page, it can, oh, here's here's this kid. His dad was deported. I'm like, geez, like, why couldn't this have been spread out?
Yeah, here's the other thing. It's like, that's when two 17-year-olds get together. That's not what they're talking about. They're not talking about immigration reform. And I'm watching this, immigrant child doing a favor for somebody, and that's not what they talk about at all. So he does have the voice down until he has to force this issue in here.
And then it goes away a bit, because then he's looking at the soup kitchen and okay, that's fine. And then we get away with it. It's just a weird sort of deal to throw in the middle to almost give you, to me, this is the wink, wink, get ready, because I'm going to deal with these issues, which is fine. The writer can do whatever he wants. But it just, it hit me over the head out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, and well, let's get on to it. And then you do get back to just comic booky thing, though I have an issue because Rhino shows up and it looks like there's these robot, androids stealing stuff. So Miles goes down, he's going to stop him, and Rhino shows up, and Miles, he's wrong. He thinks Rhino is leading this whole deal. All Rhino has to say through this whole fight that lasts the rest of the issue is, whoa there, other Spider-Man, I'm here to find my niece. I'm not here to fight. He just keeps going, go home, buddy. Go home.
It was the worst reason to fight anybody ever.
Yeah. And Miles is never just going to go home. He spell out what you're doing, because you aren't in the wrong. Yeah, it's just so weird the way that it's like, hey, go home, buddy. No. And they hey. It's just it goes over, and then Miles just basically just announces every attack he's going to do. Well, if you don't do this, I'm going to have to Venom get. Oh man, I'd like to see you do that. Then he does it. Then he's tired, and it just goes on and on and on to where Rhino then says, "Hey, you know what? I really did want to fight you anyway, but after all of this, I didn't really want to fight anyway. My niece is missing." And that's where Miles goes, these androids, they kind of stop him and take a mask off. And it's the boy that his, girlfriend was watching earlier, whose father was deported.
Child,
Question is, how did these androids tell him that they were going to show him where his...
I don't know. Well, he said that he was going to follow their...
he was just going to follow
He was going to follow the vehicle, he said. I was going to follow them. Now you messed up because they got away, but then they didn't get away. I got confused at the deal. He stops them.
They also do a poor job of playing off how powerful Miles Venom Blast is supposed to be. It's taking down some of the most powerful villains, like, I don't know, in the Marvel universe, and here it takes Rhino down for half a
second, and that's
go off his feet. I don't know.
Down, it looks like he's just smoldering.
Yeah, and with all of it, it kind of makes Miles look like he can't take down anybody.
Yeah, I know
it's Rhino, but anything that he's doing here just kind of gets shoved aside by Rhino, even when he ends up
take down that Venom Dragon and Venom.
Yeah. So there, you're right. I forgot that he was even in that there. But yeah, they end up with them. It looks like Rhino and Miles will team up for a little to go and get his niece and see what's going on with these androids. It just says to be continued. I like the art, and I like most of it.
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was. I think Rhino looks very inconsistent. His size and just his look throughout a lot of the issue.
No, I like it.
Look pretty good, but other than that, some of the smaller panels lose some detail that kind of makes it look a little.
Yeah, I liked it enough, but I'm just because I said that Amazing Spider-Man was my favorite issue of the week, I'm giving this a 6.9, though I probably could go 7, tied with Amazing Spider-Man. The stuff that was the catch up was for me, so I am pretty much right now. The big thing of this issue would be to get you to know Miles, to go forward. I know, his Venom Blast. I know the way, I know most of the stuff. I know that his parents know his identity. I know his friends. Stuff like that. So it actually does the job that it's supposed to do. it just to me was unremarkable. Like you want this big, bunch, to get all excited. Didn't really get me excited, but I liked it enough, and it taught me who the character was. So if I was just grabbing this number one, I'd certainly get the number two. I certainly would keep picking it up as it is now. So I'm gonna go 7. I'll go the same as I did with Amazing. What about you, Aaron?
Well, I just wanted to point out a fact that you guys were saying how Miles Morales hasn't really been touted, that it was coming out. Yeah. And later on, Avengers has, 4 months from now?
No, yeah, they're just keep pushing it.
They're pushing that Thor event. So it's I mean, Miles has appeared in other books. None of them are really, I mean, they maybe have a page in the very back that said it at one point in time. I don't want to totally say that, but yeah, they can push a title more. And
it doesn't.
I've seen them.
It's weird.
So it was really weird that.
And here's the deal: they do have a pretty big movie that's coming out right now with Miles in it. So why aren't they pushing this? This shouldn't be something that when the three of us are doing a Marvel podcast, we sit and talk on the Slack chat all day about comics. What about the just run-of-the-mill person who just doesn't get that involved? We're pretty involved, and this was kind of a surprise. Yeah. And so
even I don't remember anybody all week saying like, this is what I'm looking forward to. And Miles
and like Aaron said, I actually was the same as Aaron, only because I looked ahead to see what books were coming out so we could decide what we were going to talk about tonight. That was when I was like, oh, Miles Morales is coming out. Okay, that's number one. I almost messaged Brandon and you and asked, like, is this like a regular book or is this some crazy movie type? I had no idea. Yeah. And that's not right. This should be a bigger book. It should be something that, people who are going to go see the movie, because it certainly will tell you who the character is. Now, again, I don't know how they're playing the character in the movie and stuff like that, but it's a pretty good introduction to the character. Yeah. Why not know about it? I just don't understand, but I interrupted you. You go on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty decent first issue because it does catch you up on pretty much everything that's happened in his life. Yeah, but it's weird that he's writing in a journal because my whole mind was totally going like, that's totally getting stolen. Why are you doing this? And there's even a couple of hints in the writing when you're reading it that sounds like it's going to end up getting stolen. Or at least read by someone, because I mean, it's just like nobody's supposed to read it. People get kicked out. Okay, someone's gonna get kicked out of school because they read that. You just pretty much told me. I can guarantee it almost, especially for how he shows his hand with the newspaper article about immigration, and then right next page, here's a little boy who's dealing with immigration, and it's not I have no problem with writing or talking or reading about that whatsoever. I do it every day. I'm on Twitter.
Yeah.
But have a little bit of care for how you're bringing it up. I mean, I don't want to accuse them for not having care about it. Like, I'm just digging myself a hole here. That's not what I mean.
Yeah.
But
you piece of crap.
A piece of shit.
You're a piece of crap. Yes.
But yeah. When people say something feels forced, that's a pretty good of example. You just wedged that right in there.
Yeah. So. For me, it was just that it just came out of nowhere. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, it 2 pages, all of a sudden you're dealing with that, and then it gets pushed aside again. And it was just very odd. It just seemed out of place and very odd.
Yeah, it just makes me go like, well, these conversation is awkward.
Yeah.
But I guess you got to be pushed awkward sometimes, but yeah, I'm probably about. I'm going to go high first issue. Try to give it a benefit of the doubt and say 7 because the art was pretty good. I definitely liked the way Rhino looked for the big splash page for sure. The first showing of him, the Rocky Scale skin kind of way they went, but I hope it picks up with something a little more than some kids that are turned into robots or clones, zombies.
Hopefully this is just a couple issues and then we'll get on with it.
I like Javier Garron's art though. So
yeah, I like it too.
Definitely going to be giving it at least an arc or two.
Yeah, I'm with you. How about you, Brendan?
I'm going to give it a flat 6 just because I have read almost every issue of Miles that there's ever been. So a lot of this is just recap, and things I've already known and read about.
Just be happy you got a Miles book.
Yeah, I know.
Brian Michael Bendis. So
that's what I am excited about. So it's I'm glad that's over with in the first issue. We can move on with the story and hopefully we're
excitement level 6,
lacing this thing with politics and story after story, and we get this one out of the way and it's said what needs to be said and we can move on. But this journal thing also worries me too. That's a little kind of just too on the nose for superhero.
Saladin kind of does that almost in every book, though, too. He just wedges something in there of nowhere.
If it's just a means for narration, I'm fine with it. But if it's like just gonna be a story in the future, I don't feel like reading that. So like Miles fighting for his journal back. Woo, the thrilling comic book.
Exciting. Because he writes poems in there, dark poetry,
and his identity as a superhero.
Darkness, my only friend.
That's Return to Miles Morales, Spider-Man.
That'd be. I wouldn't mind
the one in the black
poetry. Suit. Yes, that's what he is. That's because he is the dark poetry Spider-Man. He's there, I hope this goes. I hope this lasts. If it doesn't, you'll get my Venom blast. There you go. There's a little poem for me.
First one.
Yes, here we go. The next one is Avengers number 11, written by Jason Aaron, art by Ed McGuinness and Corey Smith. Avengers separate into teams, and it sets some things up. Thor and Jennifer go on a date. Black Panther throws a dinner party to try to get a bit of a global meta treaty going on. And Agent Coulson reveals what happened in Alaska and also that he means business. I was pretty bored with this issue, and I hope that this picks up a bit. I think that they spell it out, even in the solicit of the, after the crazy events of number 700, and I'm like, okay, here we go. And
I didn't think it was that crazy. So
I didn't either.
I think they're like, I don't know, rolling the dice a bit on making that statement at least.
I didn't think that it was that crazy either. So when they said that, I kind of was like, what happened to 700? Okay, so you have this.
I had to remember myself. I was just like, that was another issue among the week that I read.
So I hate and me and Eric actually at work today, we're talking a lot about team books, and I don't like team books as much as Eric. Eric loves team books because he gets more bang for his buck. That's all it is. He's cheap. It's all it goes down. So it's
all about little Eric Shane.
Yes. And I said to him, though, that my problem with team books is a lot of times you don't have enough story or page space for the team. And so when you start off this book and basically say, hey, by the way, Captain America and Tony are off doing Captain America and Tony things. I'm like, here we go. Why are we getting this? And then what we get, a little bit of Captain Marvel and Robbie Reyes talking about the Hell Charger, which does nothing except set up that maybe later they will use the Hellmouth in the trunk to escape something.
And then maybe they'll go there or visit Hulk or something.
Yeah, and then you have really. And then you have kind of at least a little bit of a funny, probably the best part in my mind of the kind of chuckles was the idea that Robbie is going around basically telling everybody that he saved the world. And she's like, okay, listen.
So he doesn't need to study.
Yeah. He doesn't need to study because he saved the world. She kind of goes and says again, hey, you got to study. It's Captain America's villain quiz, but it saved my bacon a lot of times. Can't say bacon anymore, I hear. That saved my bagels a bunch of times.
You can't eat that either, so you can't say that.
I heard today. Actually, I heard today that because I listen to a lot of
that saved my hard-boiled egg.
Yeah, today you're not allowed to say that you have a dog in the fight. I heard that today on the radio. Yeah, I don't have
Michael Vick.
Yeah, really. Thanks, Vic. You have to say now, I don't have a dog in the walk. I'm like, well, what the heck does that mean?
What does that mean?
A dog in the walk? I don't get it anymore.
What are you walking for then? If you don't,
I don't know. You don't have a dog in the walk. You're at home, I guess. You're just sitting watching TV. But yeah, so you get rid of Robbie and Captain Marvel really quick, where she's just like, oh, you have to study this to save my, But a lot of times, then you go off to the Savage Lands where you're having a date with Thor and Jennifer. And again, this should be fun. This should be the most
like
fun
at a dinosaur fight. It should be a blast.
I mean, and the whole idea, even the whole idea of Jennifer worrying about that Thor doesn't want Jennifer, Thor wants She-Hulk. You can have a lot of fun with that. This is not fun, and it's uncomfortable, and it reminds me of every date that I've ever been on, and I don't need that in a book. I do not need to be reminded. This actually reminds me of a very specific date way, way back before I got married that was a disaster, and including like
awkward.
You tell me that how this makes sense. You're there, so Brandon, actually both of you it would work well because you're both from cold areas of the country. You go out on a date. And it's cold out, but you are a guy who doesn't like to wear a jacket, say. So you're out. The girl, though, has a jacket and then offers, oh, you look cold. Do you want to wear my jacket? And then you say no. That's why the date was a disaster. I was later told because I refused to wear this lady's jacket. Does that make any sense? Like, why would I take her jacket? She didn't have two.
Maybe she just wanted to dress you up.
She thought that I was too good. Oh, he thought he was too good for me.
No, she wanted to dress you up and make you say, I'm a pretty girl. I'm a pretty girl.
And I may have also been wearing shorts, and it was probably -3. So she just probably
were
thought I was
washed in the shower.
Probably.
So they were wet.
Yeah, that was back in the day. They probably weren't even washed. so that was a disaster. But so that you have this date that this is like if you were going to set up a story, and I say to you guys like, hey, I got this idea for a story where you have Thor and Jennifer in the Savage Lands. They're watching dinosaurs fight. They're drinking. Doesn't that seem like fun? It seems like a lot of fun. This is not fun.
Or you just set up a date from hell. You know what I'm saying? Like even those are just fun to
and then you could even go with the idea like Savage Lands. That's one thing. If you had a date where Thor thinks that he has to be fancy, now we're talking comedy gold again. I mean,
like it really is the lamest place Thor could ever. Of his familiar to him
5-star restaurant and act.
That's what I'm saying. And just
kind of like the first movie, you know.
Yep. And then at the end, you have the wraparound where he thinks he's blown it because he was being, loud and whatever. And it's just that Jennifer wished that he would just be himself and not go to a 5-star. We're like, why did we go? And then end in the Savage Lands where they're having fun. I mean, right there. It just was
a better date.
It was boring.
I just fell for Thor on what you described. Jeez.
Yeah, really. So, and then while this is going on, Black Panther is having his own date where he has invited United Nations of Heroes where, hey, we got to get together. The problem I have is I understand you also have, the Winter Guard there, Ursa Major, who's going nuts and whatever, but this just... And nothing on it didn't have any weight to me. It didn't mean anything to me. It didn't seem like this was well set up in this book. I get that it's trying to give the idea that, hey, look, Black Panther really is in charge. And yeah, he's a king and he's doing this. It just, to me, though, it just didn't mean anything. And seeing Captain Britain isn't going to get me my jolly. So there was no
my problem with the whole scene here is it just takes too long of back and forth between Ursa Major to just get rid of him and then just ultimately accomplish much of nothing because nobody knows what happened by the end.
That's the big thing is what happened to Alaska.
We don't get a reveal, although we do we get
the reveal from the other way, But even that whole thing with Ursa Major, you say he's spazzing out, he's yelling, and then he gets teleported away right as he's going to fight Black Panther. And they're like, "Oh, you did real good, T'Challa. He was goading you into a fight." And I'm like, there was nothing to this. I never thought that anything was at stake. It just seemed out of the blue to me. And even here's the thing too: you start out even with a mention of, "Hey, that Blade, he's a vampire and he's there." I'm like, that sounds like fun. Let's get to Blade.
Show me Blade again. Yeah.
Instead, we're talking about the Hell Charger and having a tea party. And this was the issue that really was taking me a long time. Coulson has a deal where he is talking to somebody off panel and he has his gun, he's burning. And that took forever.
And we never find out who it is.
No, it just seems like
a nobody.
Yeah,
I think it must be a nobody.
That didn't help at all with this book, not seeing who it was. Because, I mean, at first you thought he was going to intimidate Coulson.
Yeah. He was Jarvis for most of it.
Yeah,
I for most of it was someone. I was thinking someone along those lines, but then it says, "Phil, I did that 10 minutes ago. I've just been hoping I wouldn't have to kill you." So then I was like, "Oh, it's got to be someone that's kind of bad butt.
Bad butt. Yeah, I thought so too. And I was right with you. And I wanted, and again, I think that at the end, he does reveal the big deal. The Squadron Supreme was the one. You have Ross mentioned, like
right before the end.
Yeah, right before. But then I'm waiting for this reveal of who it is that I think it's going to be some shocker. I'm telling you, you know who I thought it was? I thought it was Coulson. I thought that this Coulson was, there's another Coulson, and this wasn't the thing. Because he's even, I thought he's dressed just like him, but that's kind of the Man in Black type look. But that's what I thought. I actually thought that this was going to reveal that this wasn't really Coulson. He came back, and the other one came back.
I remember how Coulson came back from being killed by Deadpool. That's a lapse in my judgment.
Yeah. So I was.
You will blame it on.
I really don't think you guys are going to appreciate next month or next issue when they have a totally separate, different Avengers team.
I know. It's the all new Secret Avengers. Maybe. But yeah, this is the whole deal where I thought there was going to be the big reveal. Really, were you shocked that it was the Squadron Supreme? Were you shocked that that was the big thing that happened in Alaska, that they went and attacked, the whole deal with the stuff that went down?
I was more just disappointed that this entire issue just discusses things we've already seen happen, basically.
I think that, again, by the end of this, they really thought that 700 we couldn't catch our breath. I think that they really thought that too. I mean, they were going on and on about it. The solicit is just going on. Like,
I was slightly confused because they were talking about how that the oil rig that was being attacked, and with X-Men there was an oil rig last issue.
Yeah, I know.
That totally. I was like, what book was it that had an oil rig? I don't remember it being Avengers.
In my mind,
maybe they're talking about that oil rig.
Yeah, and my whole deal, my mind was, if you would have quizzed me before this and said, "Hey, remember that oil rig in Avengers? What went down?" I think Namor went and grabbed some guys or whatever. I'm like, I didn't know that there was a big secret. Because they're even mentioning, because the whole Tea Party with Black Panther is them. Hey, we got to do something about Namor. We have to do something about Namor. So you get that in the back, but nothing really happens in this issue. A lot of things happen that end up not having anything happen. And then
entire mystery of, is Namor being controlled by someone else? No, I don't think he is anymore. He's just a jerk, I guess. That's it, because we all had hints of that, I guess, from that one issue where he was really front and center,
and he had really black eyes.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, after all this, I just thought this was a down issue. I like the art enough. This book has never really had too many problems with that, except the action scenes. But there's a lot of yakety yak in this one. There's not a lot of action.
There's definitely not any action. Really.
No, they're just standing around.
Coulson shot somebody.
Yeah, that's bad. And
just flips
at
out.
the point, Thor ends up saying to Jennifer, "No, I'm here for Jennifer because I'm a god, and I want to get to the lady within," only to have her turn into She-Hulk so they can make out.
Yeah, I know.
What happened there? What are you doing?
Now you have permission to make out with Hulk. You like Jennifer.
I can tell now. I think that it's taken a bit, but we're getting to the point where I'm getting comfortable enough with some of these books that I'm getting angry. And this issue is getting me angry because of the whole just whatever. But by the end,
you can make a nice fair judgment, I would say.
Yeah, well, by the end, this was one of those issues that I could just leave behind. You're never somebody had to tell me it was Coulson shot a guy and their Squadron Supreme mentioned at the end. I'm like, okay, I'm in, because nothing else really seemed to matter much. Just the fact that they have Tony and Captain America out and about, it just showed me that we weren't going to get much in this, and we really didn't. I'm giving it a 5.5. And that's not, I usually try to, every book I say, well, I give it a 5. I could go higher. I'm not going higher. This is a 5.5. I need more than this from this book. This is supposed to be a bigger book. One of the books that I've really tried to make myself positive with, and I'm starting to try, it's starting to wear thin for me. I need something from this book a little more than Ursa Major spaz out and get teleported back to Siberia. And then they end with a reveal of who Coulson's talking to. I'd like to see that. And then, like Aaron said, now I'm getting angry because I look at all new Secret Avengers. Here we go. Really, how about let's get these guys going, because
these guys haven't done much.
No, they haven't. Robbie Reyes can sit there and brag all he wants because he's the only one who's done anything.
Robbie Reyes, this entire team, and even the creative team on this book has think they've done more than they really have.
I mean, and we've had the BC Avengers that have interrupted. We've been interrupted a bunch of times with this. Let's get a story going here.
Yeah, again, please.
What do you give it, Brandon?
I match your score of 5.5. I can't go up. I could go down on this.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
I'm giving it 5.
I like the art a lot, except for a couple hiccups. You know, the art during the table scenes felt a little kind of rushed and like someone didn't care much.
Yeah.
But other than that,
maybe they were bored.
Yeah, I enjoyed very little in this story. I'm excited when the Avengers or this team they're assembling eventually meets this Squadron Supreme. That's when I'll be back on board, but who knows when that's coming, you know?
Yeah, and there was that art change too. You could tell when the art did change up, and it kind of was really like for a second there, you're like, whoa, that really took a dive. But then I got used to it. Like I said, there's just not enough going on that I could say that the art was good, bad, or indifferent. It just was there because everything was
like
just
McGinnis
there.
Is like, I'm not drawing this table.
Yeah, well,
nonsense.
the stuff with Thor and Jennifer, you know, there was points where I'll tell you it looked pretty bad, but again, it was what it was. I wasn't that excited. It wasn't like I read and like, boy, this scene would have really been better with better art. I was just like, whatever. But yeah, what about you, Aaron?
Yeah, I got a little excited from on the cover. I was like, sweet She-Hulk makeout scenes, you know, but War of the Realms coming in 4 months, like I was talking about, you know, they're advertising that, but you know,
poor Miles.
Poor Miles.
Yeah.
Poor Miles. But Phil Coulson, I don't really like seeing him as the evil
psycho.
guy, basically, you know. But I guess the trauma might have had something to do with it, but they're kind of playing on that.
Sometimes that is better.
Yeah, he doesn't trust heroes anymore, I guess, because Deadpool killed
I did appreciate Ed McGuinness's art more this time, just because, I mean, even though it wasn't him all the way through.
Yeah.
But just only because there's no fight scenes to where I can get my eyeballs get confused to what I'm looking at.
Yeah, that's
you're going close up on an elbow or something like that. But I'm at a 6. This was a little tough for me. Again. I felt like Jennifer this whole time, just sitting with my hands on my chin, like, so bored. This is what we're doing, huh?
Yep. And it's weird too, because I'm afraid that this is something that they think is hitting hard. This whole She-Hulk Thor.
It definitely could have done for some more dinosaurs in it.
Yeah, I just think they think it's hilarious.
Like Ursa, was it Ursa Major?
Yeah,
I don't really like.
I think he's done. I think when he teleported, we're done with him.
I don't like Jason Aaron's version of Ursa Major.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, it kind of rubs on me. But I'm at a 6.
Yeah,
sure.
I blame Coulson for working with Deadpool. It's like if you put $100 in a bear trap and your hand gets chopped off by the bear trap. That's on you.
If it's Deadpool that killed you, how are you going to think that has anything to do with anything else? Also, just like I was saying, I think that Matthew Rosa, I think that he really or Jason Aaron, I think Jason Aaron really thinks that that this whole She-Hulk and Thor is hilarious. I think that this is his like joke, that it's almost like his kite man. It's not that funny.
Joke when it was funny.
It was funny at the first time.
The Crystal joke was hysterical. And other than that, it's just kind of like a joke that's now beaten into the ground.
Yeah, I've had enough.
And isn't she like supposed to be like worried about becoming She-Hulk, you know, freaking out?
That's the whole thing.
I don't think she ever got cured from that, right?
No.
So it's just completely glossed over.
Yeah.
I guess her libido makes her not crazy.
It works that way for all of us.
No.
And Black Panther, I guess, continues just to be boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
So...
And with that, like you said, you have the dating going on, and I think he thinks that's hilarious. And then the Black Panther is he's in charge, so we have to show him being in charge. And it was
kind of wants Squadron Supreme to take over the Avengers book.
And again, maybe this new Secret Avengers, maybe we'll like that even more, because when the BC Avengers first showed up, we really liked them. And once I got a little more of them, I kind of was like, I'm kind of done with them, but we'll see how it goes. But we have one last book tonight, and that is the weekly, I won't even say it, but I will, very weekly, Uncanny X-Men #5. And it's written by Matthew Rosenberg, Kelly Thompson, and Ed Brisson. Art by R.B. Silva. Inks by Adriano Di Benedetto. Colors by Rachel Rosenberg, and letters by VC's Chris Elapalopoulos. And we continue with Uncanny, and this issue continues the slow burn of X-Men's plan and ends with a Archangel cliffhanger. I still would like to have a little more of the new recruits, but it looks like we will have to wait until this greatest hits is over. It still feels like a greatest hits to me. This issue actually is not my least favorite. It's probably one of my favorites of the series so far. It's not exactly the greatest thing ever, but it read pretty smooth for me. I don't understand some of the things that are going on, but one of them being the oil rig. We're not supposed to know what's going on, because even the X-Men in there don't know. But yeah, it's just, there's not a ton going on, but everything's...
the Blob and whoever is with them, Omega Red, are terraforming different locations.
Yeah, that's what it all looks like. And we saw X-Man said, go and, we have to make the world a paradise again. And I get it. He's, they're going eco-terrorist with that.
Magneto seems to be taking all weapons. These guys are turning barren locations.
That's what it's going. And in this, you have it start with X-Men talking to Apocalypse and Kitty. Kitty doesn't want to get anything involved. Apocalypse is like, you know what I'd do? I'd get rid of these false, idols and all these like
that came out of nowhere, too, didn't it? Because I didn't know they were building a council.
Yeah, I know. And that's why
at all. Yeah, they've just stuck all these people in a room, and now all of a sudden Nacre is like, all right, let's do this.
You didn't object, Kitty.
That's what I wanted Kitty to say, and that's when, and he even like shoves the thing over her mouth at the one point. That's where I wanted her to say, whoa, what did I disagree with? What did I didn't know we were doing this, because I didn't. And he ends up, you have the Vatican disappear. You have Mecca. You have all these things throughout you have it throughout the world. They disappear. He's like, done. The problem I have with this is, number one, I don't know when, how, or what. I want to see the reactions of these disappearing. I mean, this is
people's reaction.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have this X-Man who he comes down, and Nate's doing this, and he's kind of coming off as Jesus. Me and Brandon talked about it. Even he is Jesus. He even says, I'm the second coming. He ended up kind of getting in everybody's minds and telling them. He said, alluding, this will take 7 days. Everything is very Jesus-like. Well, now he gets... everybody, I want to know, are the people for him? Are they against him? Because now they can't be for him unless he's completely just mind controlling everybody. But
why didn't he blink out the oil rig? If he could just snap his fingers and make things disappear.
Why doesn't he blink out the guns? Why doesn't he blink out?
He did blink out the guns, didn't he? Oh no, he said Magneto.
Yeah, he said Magneto. It's almost like he's sending in again, like his disciples, and he's sending them out. Is he just sending them out just because they're bored? Because he seems to be able to
trying to stop all war and make the world a better place. So this is how he's going about doing it. And then also now referring to these other three to see how they would go about doing it.
And that's the thing, like, and this council thing with Apocalypse, to me, you're going with this and saying, oh, what would you do, Apocalypse? You say, I'd get rid of all these places. Apocalypse isn't exactly a guy who's going to give you world peace.
Isn't this supposed to be the X-Man from Age of Apocalypse?
Yeah. Yep.
So he knows Apocalypse is horrible.
Horrible. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
because Apocalypse ran that world. Why would you want Apocalypse, who ran the planet that you fought to get out of and it got wiped out?
It doesn't make sense. And to me, the weird thing about it is, and in my mind, you're having this idea that they want to push him as this Jesus figure but he did start like that, but now he's actually, to me, he's very Dr.
Maybe Apocalypse is controlling him.
I don't know, but why would
Somehow?
why would Apocalypse get that involved to get captured just to get Kitty captured and the senator?
Yeah, no, that's not.
Yeah, it's just, to me, it doesn't play. Like, you have like 2 eggs in this basket and one, it doesn't jive. It's like 1 + 1 = 5 because he comes off as this Jesus-like character.
This reeks of 3 people writing it, and I think that's just what's makes no sense. And issue to issue,
they have pushed the fact that he is an Omega level, like, beyond powerful. We see this. He makes these things disappear, but then yet we still go off to see the Blob and Omega Red, getting green and making a forest in the middle of the ocean on an oil rig. Yeah. And then with that, you end up also having Magneto trying to get the guns, all that stuff.
And Beast looking for a vaccine for something that he's really worried about.
Yeah, it was stolen.
And I'm assuming this person in the trench coat that stole it totally like walked with its back to the camera the whole time.
Oh yeah.
There's not one camera in the entire building that.
And also,
he only has that one camera and it only points at the fridge because he gets this food stolen all the time by
Deadpool. It's his sandwiches. When this goes and just the transitions, and I think then you have where Jamie, you had Glob go get Jamie, and he goes back to the mansion, and they go back there, and that's where Legion. You have that little bit where Legion goes, and we know that Jamie's pissed because Legion got in his mind, made duplicates, tortured him, all this stuff, and Legion's just like, hey, and the whole thing that was set up last issue was the idea of, hey, we're gonna let Legion out. All of a sudden he's out, but also the fact that it just doesn't seem like each issue leads into it, because they were disagreeing with whether to let him out. Now he's just out, and they're going about it.
Nobody has a problem with it.
Yeah, nobody has a problem. Then you go, and I swear that when you go off to where the X-Men are fighting Magneto and Angel and all this, we had at the last issue where they were pretending to be dead so that they would disappear, that they went off thinking they had killed them. And the whole idea was, hey, did you see Angel? He didn't even bat an eye. Now they're just in the middle of a fight. And I'm telling you,
Angel's there.
Well, yeah, an Angel's there.
I want to bring attention to Glob towards the end of this book. That is the worst looking Glob.
When he's standing there, when they say, hell, yes, we are. Just
his eyes look like they're
weird.
Away from his body.
Yep, it's weird. It's weird. But, there's always time for globbering time. Was that you, Aaron, that put that in the Slack chat?
Globbering time.
Globbering time. And you have Glob. I probably could go really, you could go a little Glob, too much Glob, but right now I'm not getting enough of anybody.
Yeah.
And I said the last time we talked about this, my big thing was to get Kitty Pryde. I wanted to get more. She's just sitting there saying, I'm not involved.
She's bound and gagged right now.
Yeah. I just, it's just, I like Laura. She doesn't do anything. Beast is just looking at a video camera.
I don't know what happens here with, is that Cannonball who takes
it looks like Cannonball
takes Angel into space, and then Angel just comes back like nothing happened.
They smash him down, and then he turns into Archangel by getting mad. By the end,
it seemed to calm Angel down, but didn't take him out of thinking the beliefs that have been installed in his brain.
He thinks that I really think that Angel thinks that what's going on is the right way. He says to Betsy, listen, come on over our side. We'll do this. We can make a better world. We make a better world. It's very Thanos-esque even. Like, we're going to tear down the world to rebuild it again. This world is ridiculous. It's bad. And while this is going on, is he blind? She has a huge glowing sword behind her, and I'm telling you this. If anybody is,
and then
Buffy
takes about
fan,
35 minutes in comic book time to wrap around and hit him with it.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, it reminds me of when Buffy stabs Angel at the end. I believe it was season 2, and that's my nerd cred there. But it did remind me. But even then, it doesn't even look like she stabs him. She slaps him with it somehow.
Something like that.
He goes down and then comes up and he's Archangel. There you go, Archangel.
And normally when she uses her Psyblade, doesn't she just stab it right into people's heads?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She doesn't.
It looks like she slaps them.
Yeah, she slaps them.
It was weird.
The weird thing about this
is normal on the cover to next issue, so maybe he goes back.
I believe Eric talked about the first book, the first issue of this. And if he didn't, I remember me telling him right away, he said that we're going to get Archangel. He told me this. If he wasn't on the podcast just then, I was just explaining, he's like, oh, he's going to be Archangel. And it also was an extermination, I think he said as well. And there we have it. And this book ends up being these big wow moment cliffhangers, and then we'll go to the next issue and we'll start again with, you know, X-Men talking to his counsel, quote counsel, because the senator said,
yeah, we don't find out what the senator wanted.
Yeah,
that'll be no more mutants anymore.
Yeah,
so
that again. And that's what I want the senator to say. I want you to disappear. All right, yeah. I guess I gotta listen.
Make everything back to normal before you showed up.
But yeah, you like Rock Slide? Is he one of your favorites? You like Armor? You like a Knoll?
Like any of them.
Wait, we don't know him.
My favorite right now is the Knoll because he's laying on a bed saying and doing nothing.
Why even introduce these new recruits if you're not going to do anything with them? The only thing that they are there to do is to throw shade at the older X-Men and to do something stupid.
I'm
like
reading Uncanny X-Men. Where's Cyclops? Where's Wolverine? Yeah. Where's Storm?
This is not the book that when this doesn't feel big. It doesn't feel like this huge oh my God, it's back. It's back. This is
it's definitely not running as smoothly as No Surrender was.
No, it's not. It's just and we're leading to the monthly down the line.
Did both of you guys read No Surrender?
I did. Yeah. Yeah, and this is not.
I read most of it. I gave up on it.
This just doesn't feel big, though. It just doesn't feel like
there's too much going on.
Yeah,
honestly,
that's what I said. Why introduce?
It's really hard to keep track of the threads going on.
Yeah,
because I mean, you got Legion with the younger kids. You got most of the team fighting on a different island. With the Magneto and. Omega Red and Blob are off somewhere else.
It's just and I said it last issue where where's Bishop? I mean, give me the big Storm. Jubilee. I'm going Nightcrawler. He shows up just to teleport them, but they don't do anything with these big characters. Yeah, Beast, like you said, Beast is there and he's looking at video footage.
All they're doing is trying to keep regular people from hurting each other.
There's nothing.
It's really hard for them.
Really, and you have Cannonball gets his little bit.
Jubilee's powers, I guess, doesn't hurt anybody's eyes. You got Cannonball flying through them. You got Polaris there. I mean, she's
Polaris is there, and they do things, but they're not doing anything. They're just there.
I mean, how doesn't Jean Grey not be able to just lift everybody up in the air and say, "Stop fighting"?
Yeah, stop. That's what you need.
Something, Jean.
And even hold hands with Psylocke again, and even get even more. And you have Laura X-23, who basically almost every issue just says, "Can I stab?"
Jean Grey again is over at the oil rig. So.
Yeah, which again though, she's at an oil rig that was a
she seemed like she sent the strongest team to the weakest thing twice. Because I mean, she sent her team to the dinosaurs.
And
now she sent her team to the oil rig. Well, the other team is dealing with Magneto. And
they could just go there. Just everybody should at this point. They should all be where Magneto is. This oil rig. Okay, it turned into a garden of Eden. And you don't have to walk through it and look at the fruit. Get over to where Magneto is. And it's just ridiculous. Or get back to the mansion and start digging out Cerebro like they are doing as well. It just, I don't get it. I don't get why we even have this as weekly, because I'm not getting enough each week to really get me excited for anything. And it's really, it's making me this is my second, Uncanny run that I've been on with this, and the other one being I'm assuming the Joss Whedon one was the Joss Whedon was Uncanny, right? And that was awesome. I loved it. Or was that a style? Whatever it was, that was an X-Men run that I went on there with Joss Whedon, and I loved it. And it was like all these characters.
Astonishing X-Men.
Yes, that was my only other X-Men run that I started at #1, and that really hit hard. You had everybody right away, and character moments. This is just, it's making me by the time that you have the monthly Uncanny book, I'll be done. I'll be like, I don't want any of this. And that, why would that be? Why set up?
You already feel like you got 5 stories going on here.
Yeah, I feel like I've had enough. And if this is my first deal, a lot of people's first Uncanny book, like, what is all the hype? Why are people excited about this? Because I'm not at all. Like Brandon said, just wait a little, wait for Wolverine, wait for all these things. So when you do come back, you can hit hard with all the big characters so that it's like, instead of giving me the greatest hits where Archangel at the end, or you have, the Senator against the mutants, and just wait and have the actual
January's around the corner, people.
Yeah, start making your own greatest hits, not just this nonsense. So I'm going 5.5 again with this. That's I could even go as low as a 5. The art's okay. It's just everything's all over the place. I don't even get what's going on for the most part of like what they're really trying to get. And I do think that Brandon's right. You're seeing that every time another writer jumps on, and then we don't know which is which, if it's, or whatever, but it just seems like there's not a lot of forward momentum. Things don't jive as well. So yeah, I'm a little down. How about you, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm down on this book too. I still don't understand why they had to change Psylocke back to her British character. Yeah. I figured at some point in time they would give us a good reason.
Hello.
Yeah, you don't even get any of that.
Bad history of white people pretending to be Asian over at Marvel.
They just that, and they just went hello, love.
Yeah, and for the spouting of the Angel's beliefs in this, you figure it almost feels like something that should be coming out of Magneto's mouth. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Magneto feels like he's been, I don't know, tranquilized. Like it's not
he's
Magneto
just
at all.
Standing there stoically.
Yeah, it's just there.
Which is really not Magneto at all.
Use somebody else. It doesn't have to be Magneto.
Especially if someone is influencing their beliefs.
Yeah.
Maybe that is why Magneto is not really saying or acting like himself, because he has his beliefs so ingrained into him that he's fighting it. I don't know.
Maybe
all it is you're just assuming
you'd see something of that. Then
you're trying to assume every issue. You're guessing every issue, and it feels like there's just you're having to put in a lot of effort.
yeah.
I think that's a good description of this series, and like it's effort of things I don't care about or already know about that I've seen done better.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm lazy. I don't want to put any effort. I just want to have a good time.
I like almost every character. I like almost every character that's in the book. I just don't like them in the book.
Because they don't do anything. They just stand around.
They're all.
I'm at like a 6, and if this continues on, next issue I'll predict will be a 5. FU variety.
Yeah, I don't see any hope.
We'll be halfway through this 12-issue mini.
I know. Yeah, I don't see any sign of it getting better. Yeah, I don't see any, and it isn't even like now we are this many issues in, and I can't even say to you like, boy, like there were a lot of times. I'll even go back to the DC part of things where you'll have like a Future's End or a thing where they do have multiple writers, and you start to be able to pick which writer's which. You're like, oh, I kind of recognize them. Boy, I like this. It happened actually. One of the things when you had Tom King and Tim Seeley and stuff, and you started to like the Tom King ones better, and you could tell what they were and things like this. This I can't tell, and I maybe it's because I don't know the writers, but I'm waiting for like the issue that I have a lot of laughs.
There has to be something to do with this gods thing, though, because I mean, he showed X-Man is like looking like Jesus. Yeah, Magneto is looking like Merlin or something like that. Moses, and Angel, he's looking more like Icarus. He's got an old sword.
There's something going on, but again, I want to see that. Like we're almost halfway through, and why are we not seeing any sort of path to this? And then out of nowhere, hey, Apocalypse, what would you do? You know what I do? I do this. All right, done. It was so weird when he said, "Okay, done," and he does it. I was like, what's going on? Like, why? Why would he do that?
I'm still guessing that's. Yeah, I'm still guessing that the oil rig tanker thing, where it's getting consumed by the vines and everything. I'm still saying that's got to be involved with what happened in X-Men Black issues.
I don't
with,
know.
With Apocalypse.
I just think that is just their version of the Garden of Eden. And I have a weird thing that it's going to involve like some, we're going to get these mutants and make them this. And you're going to have, say, Angel and Betsy being Adam and Eve now. I don't.
Someone's going to eat an apple.
Yeah. Who knows? I don't know. What about you, Brandon? Now I'm getting depressed.
Yeah, I know. I'm sad about this one too. I'm at a 4.5. I like the art.
Excited about this.
I just don't like any beats that happen in the story.
It's because Wolverine isn't in it. That's all Brandon cares. He's like, Wolverine isn't in it. It starts at a 5, and then you may impress him to a 5.5.
You don't even have any cool Laura moments to back up. You know, Laura, she hasn't really been sounding like Laura really in this.
Can I stab this? We said at the beginning.
I thought she was going to stab that frog she's petting.
Yeah, she sounded more like Gabby when it first started, and now she's just a side character that just says, "Oh, the Meg, can I stab it?" No, I wanted to stab it.
Yeah, I don't think it was too good of an idea to put these 3 writers who have limited experience writing these characters on a 12-issue weekly book. Yep. It was a gamble, and I don't think that gamble's paying off.
No, I don't either. I don't at all. But yeah, that's it. So what is our book of the week? Mine, I'll actually go right away. Mine are the Spider books.
I thought we already announced what our books of the week were.
Spider-Man and Miles Morales, Spider-Man #1. Those are my books of the week. Is that basically, what is yours, Brandon?
Just amazing. Miles was a little under amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I thought it was amazing itself. How about you, Aaron? What is yours?
Yeah, just amazing. That's the only book that had me really smiling all the way through it. I'm glad I read that first, but I was also sad that I read that first because I just felt
that was, like I said, that was pretty good. It just I need more of a direction of that book, and
it just felt like just a tight, Spider-Man issue.
Yeah,
a regular Spider-Man book. I mean, like if I consider the stories that came before it. And wondering, what clues and stuff that has happened before.
Yeah,
you might be able to talk me down, but other than that, I liked this.
The thing that I was most into, which is crazy, is the idea that lookups with Mary, that whole deal of that support group and things like that. And we didn't get that this issue, and so you didn't get anything like that. So I just every time something starts going on in it, it just seems that we go another direction. But as an individual issue, I liked it.
Self-absorbed Jonah.
Yeah, he's good. It's just he got a spotlight. But we are done with the podcast. Then I just want to mention that we do have that other weekend edition episode that will continue on, and it looks like this weekend what would be on the docket would be Spider-Girls #3, the Best Defense Silver Surfer #1, Best Defense Doctor Strange #1, and X-23 #7, which I haven't read any of those yet because we were getting ready for this, but I'm looking forward to read X-23. That is quietly probably my favorite book, and it's weird because there's all these other big books, and yet that one at least I'm consistently liking. These Best Defense books, I'm worried.
I know.
I'm waiting to see how
in the Silver Surfer one. I always like random Silver Surfer.
Yeah, I'm interested in both. I didn't like.
I'm interested to see how Namor is going to be played here, because I mean, there's a different Namor in Avengers than the Namor that's going on right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, and everything seems to be getting tighter continuity wise at Marvel right now.
So we'll see how that goes.
A lot of books are getting mentioned in different books.
Things.
So, I mean, I'm curious how they're going to play that.
Yeah, I go. And as well, with those, we'll also have some quick books, a little bit of news, and listener mail, which we've already gotten some mail. So I will tell everybody right now, if you want to email us and talk to us and yell at us about how negative we were tonight or anything else, you can email us at weirdsciencemarvelcomics@gmail.com. We will read everything, but we will not reveal your email address. We got one email and the guy's all pumped up to email, but he said, P.S. do not give out my email. We're not here to dox anybody. I just learned that what that meant the other term. I want to use that, but yeah, we will never ever. We will say your name, but we would never give out anybody's email. So if that's something, never even thought of that as something that maybe I should mention that even at the DC.
Go there. I don't know.
No, we would never give out your email address. So we will never do that. But we would read any sort of email, positive, negative, middle ground, whatever.
Especially negative about Jim.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then you're really going to get on. Then I'll yell and scream. But yeah, that's it. That is the end of the podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in a couple days.